Okay guys, so this video is going to be on people are starting to pick up how to get this child work started and how to processing these things and how important it is to go deeply inside and with deep introspection and take things all the way to the root. Now, as we do that, we get these emotions that come up, because our traumatic experiences, our abusive experiences, they, as we go through life and especially in childhood, we get over them because we have to in order to cope, in order to continue to survive, in order to face the next day. So that's why we got these things like what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, and those types of things, those types of lines of thinking, because they're coping mechanisms. So as we delve into our childhood and start stirring these things up and addressing these things, we will find that there are intense emotions attached to some of them. Now, what happens is when we go through these traumatic experiences as a child is we think, okay, like we're sitting here as an adult now, our 20s, 30s, 40s, we think, oh yeah, I'm fine. I mean, none of it affects me. But what we don't understand is that what happened is we are blocking it out psychologically because our brains are unable to deal, like neurologically, we're unable to deal with that amount of stress. Like if we sat here and just pondered and thought and just remembered at any given moment all the traumatic experiences we went through, or we'd have an aneurysm, our fucking, system would go, and, we'd have a short circuit. So the survival mechanism of the brain, that's why the ego character's there, and the ego character knows nothing but instant gratification because he's constantly running away from things. When we are breaking that ego and no longer running away and trying to fully address these things so they can properly be processed and out of us and taken care of and behind us now, right, in the correct manner, instead of running away from them, just out of us, taken care of, processed, they're no longer a part of us. So what happens is when we have these traumatic experiences and we think, oh, I'm good, that doesn't bother me. What is really going on is that they were never processed. What happens is they get stored in the body, physically stored in the body, in different areas of the body. Okay. And this is where people, some people will have shoulder pain, unexplained their shoulder pain. Like, where did that come from? People have like stomach issues, digestion and stomach issues and skin issues are three of the biggest ones probably, that this shows itself. But it also gets deep down in our tissues and our joints, these traumatic experiences. And so these traumatic experiences, almost like a little thing that causes pain, like a rock, let's say, for example, like a tiny little pebble, like inside your joint that causes pain every time you move, or when you move to this side it hurts, but every other time you don't even recognize that it's there. And so they actually physically store in the body, and when you call them up and you're dealing with these things, those emotions that you had at that time, the sadness, the loss, the anxiety, the depression, it comes up. So you're reliving pretty much the experience. Now, what happens when we're going back and doing this child work, it took us decades and decades of, ignoring and allowing these things to sit inside of us, in decades of storing up new traumas and new things that just happen every day that we just gloss over and go, well, it's just part of life, and you just keep on going. So when you start addressing all these things, it can get extremely overwhelming, because when you have 20 different emotion or 20 different instances pop up and they're all tied to intense emotions, that can really affect you. It can stop you. It can put you in a depression. It can make you go crawl in bed under the covers and not want to see anybody or talk to anybody or even live anymore. So we got to get these things out of our body. Okay. And so that's what this video is going to be about. Let me get started here. This is from Anonymous that sent me an email. They said, "Hey Richard, I'd like to remain anonymous just in case you do a video. I've been digging deeper and seeing more patterns of trauma. So through the videos we've been doing and everybody sharing and opening up, and then the introspection and seeing how things work and seeing in real time how people are healing and how people are making breakthroughs, it's allowing other people to see this. So other people on their own are taking it upon themselves to dig deeper and do deeper introspection. So they're seeing more patterns of trauma. My fear of losing loved ones and never seeing them again comes from not only my dad, but also my grandfather, which is important because she's tracing it back, the lineage even farther, and the cause of this even further, because we shouldn't have a fear of losing loved ones. That fear comes from ego. That fear is attachment. Oh, I need this. I need this. This is because it's comfortable, because it's safe, because, for all of these different reasons. But all we really need is ourselves, because, therefore she's recognizing where the fear of losing loved ones is coming from. Or he, I don't know if this is, I think it's a she, I don't know. When I was about 8 years old, he passed away from cancer. So her grandfather passed away when she was 8 years old from cancer. Him and I were really close before my stepdad came into my life at the age of 10. So for 2 years there, she didn't have anybody there. That support was gone. My grandfather was the only one there for me. He stuck up for me when it came to my abusive mother. So, that creates that trauma bond. I mean, you have that savior as a young child. You have that hero, that savior, that emotional support, that physical support to lean on. Especially if you're dealing with an abusive parent that, is unhinged and thinks they can do whatever they want with you, and you're just their little slave, their little minion, and treating you like dick. I loved my grandfather so much. He was like my best friend. When trying to process these emotions and finally release them, I have a problem. I don't know what to do or how to do it. I can visit these traumas. I allow all the feelings to rise up. Okay, so this person is, I can visit these traumas and I allow all the feelings to rise up. So they are introspecting, they're facing these traumatic experiences from childhood, which can be very scary, and they're allowing the feelings to rise up. I feel and allow these intense, extremely painful emotions to amplify. Okay? I feel them in my heart, my chest, my stomach. I sit with them. I don't know where to go from there. I did send Brandon an email the other day asking for tips on processing and releasing emotions. He hasn't gotten back to me yet. I figured he's busy. I was hoping maybe you could help provide some techniques where I got stuck. Okay. So a lot to unpack here, and what I'm about to go into will help you guys, because, okay, so this person is facing these things, bringing these emotions up, but then they're getting stuck, like they're not going anywhere, okay? So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're dealing with here. So thank you for sharing. Okay, good to see that you are having more clarity and deeper introspection. Okay, first of all, you have to understand, be easy on yourself. Look how far you're coming. I mean, 2 days ago, you weren't even able to introspect and understand this. All of a sudden, now look where you are. You're seeing so much deeper than you ever even thought 2 days ago that reality even was. So be easy on yourself and congratulate yourself. I don't like saying proud of yourself, but be understanding that you're doing what you have to do to take the steps necessary to heal. Don't get frustrated with these things, as this is a process. We are healing things that took place over weeks, months, and years of our lives. We can experience instant healing and processing of these emotions, but we must remember that this healing is a spider web, and child work is just one aspect. As we untangle the web, we might experience a breakthrough in a certain aspect as you are with the clarity and deeper introspection at the moment with your childhood issues, but then we find ourselves being blocked again. From my experiences, what this has been for me is that there's another part of the web that now needs attention before I'm able to make any further progress in the area. So maybe it's time to focus on the intake of poisons and addiction, consumption of entertainment and distraction, or whatever else you feel that is pressing to be addressed. Okay, so now this person made that breakthrough, right? And is realizing and able to more deeply introspect. And they're not being afraid. They're facing these things. They're fully enveloping them. But they're being blocked. They can't get it out of them. Okay, now we're going to go over, the way I sent this email back to this person is not very, I should have done it the other way around, because at the end I went over doing exercise to work these emotions out and get these things out of us, the various different techniques, which we'll get to in a moment. But I do want to touch on this, guys, because this is important. If you get to a plateau in your healing, there's so many aspects to this healing. Now, let's say you get to this aspect and you're able to deeper introspect, and you're able to face, because now you trust yourself, now you're more confident, you have more courage, you're able to face these childhood issues, and you're able to bring them up and face them and allow yourself to feel the emotions. But then you get blocked. Now, this can happen because, see this is the tangled web we weaved, right? Of shit that our healing involves. Now we get these emotions all up, but we can't get it out. Well, that's because there's something else in the way. And what happens is that there's other things we need to address. And so you have to be fluid with your healing. This healing, we cannot force this healing. We cannot just think that, okay, it's just childhood issues, and I'm just going to do childhood issues for 6 months, and then I'll concentrate on diet for 6 months, and then I'll concentrate on, this for 6 months, and then I'll concentrate on that for 6 months, and then I'll concentrate on detaching from the breads and circuses for 6 months. No, this is like this. And each one of those things I just mentioned is one of these. And you'll only get so far before you're going to have to touch one of these other things. And then you'll touch that thing and it'll release a little over here. And then you're going to have to touch some on this. And then you're going to have to touch some on this, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to open this whole thing up. And so it's a multifaceted approach that needs to be come at from every angle. So you can't just go in and be like, and I'm not saying this person's doing this. I'm just saying, as a whole, we got to think of this thing as a whole. And even with Sky, I've just done videos today again on child work. I did videos the other day, and then all his videos, and telling him how that's probably his next step is child work. But so I just want you guys to understand that I'm not saying child work's the answer and it's going to fix everything, and it will fix a ton. But if everything's like this, you've got to be fluid and be able to, allow yourself, be easy on yourself. Okay, these are coming up, I'm dealing with this, and then realize what this is, the next block is, and then be able to, I got to be more disciplined in my intake of toxins. I got to relax on the toxin intake some more. I got to quit drinking caffeine. I've got to whatever you see. And this is where we get to trust ourselves, because see, you can pay high amounts of money to get a life coach or, a therapist or a group of therapists that will help you work through all these things. And it could take years and decades, and you can get nowhere, and you'll be on medication, all these things. So what we're doing is we're cutting out all the middlemen, and we're going straight from our physical self, our mind, to our soul, and we're reconnecting and learning to trust ourselves. We're pushing the ego out of the way. And so, guys, it is a multifaceted approach, and you can't just say, well, I'm going to concentrate on this thing for 6 months, then I'm going to do this thing for 6 months, then I'm going to do this thing for 6 months. You have to understand that it's very nuanced. Okay, this is very nuanced. As you went through traumatic experiences in your life, and all this happened to you, you just like roots in a tree, you just got it all tangled, and it's all tangled together. So that way when you do start healing, you can't go down here to the bottom and try to rescue this part of you, because all of this needs to come up. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying that's what this person is doing. You know, I'm not trying to tell this person that that's what they're doing. I'm just saying keep this in mind, this because it's very important. And I've been wanting to make that point for a minute now. Yeah, so maybe it's time to focus on intake of poisons, addictions, consumption of entertainment and distraction, or whatever else you feel is pressing to be addressed. And that's when you got to learn to do breathing. Do breathing. Keep yourself calm. Keep yourself calm. Keep yourself relaxed. Flow. You're doing your things. All of a sudden, your kids are like, "Mom, Dad, I need this. I need that. Mom, Dad, blah 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 blah." Right? Just flow. Get back. Go. Be able to go from focusing on yourself to your other responsibilities as you figure out how to get everything in line, because it will end up getting calmer as you get further along and you do more and more of this. Things will settle down eventually, but you're going to go through a huge trial period. You're going to go through a huge testing period. And if you have kids and a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, or if you have roommates, or if you have, these types of situations, or you live with your parents, and, like I said, the matrix is going to work through these things to stress you out, to discourage you, to get you swayed away from your path. Just learn how to remain calm. That is probably the biggest thing. Man, I look at Brandon and the way he just remains so calm, cool, and collected all the time I'm short of saying I'm envious of it, but it's just, I'm trying to heal to where I am in that, because in that cool, calm, and collected, type of emotional state, you cannot be affected by anything. You are just taking things as they come. You are able to process thoroughly. You're not attaching emotions to it. You're not getting worked up. You're not, reacting. Everything is being done through intense critical thinking and calmness. And there's no, spiking of anxiety, which causes spiking of depression, which is huge ups and downs and lefts and rights. So just a lot of different little things in there, to help you. Now we're going to get down to this person's thing here. Movement during these times also can help, as past trauma and the emotions tied with those experiences are stored in the body. Okay, again, movement during these times is actually very important, because during these times we just want to lay in bed, put the covers over our head and hide, or we want to consume toxic foods, or watch a movie and distract ourselves, or look for any kind of comfort. See, and that's the thing we have to understand, is we are constantly seeking comfort, because that's what the ego wants. We revert back to being an innocent child that got hurt and traumatized and abused. And what do you want when you're a hurt child? You want to be comforted. Right? You don't want to have to go exercise and go take responsibility. So what we are doing is we are parenting that inner child. Okay? We have to be the parent. We have to be the grown-up. We have to be the adult. But that is very difficult if we've never been that adult. Right? So, what helps is movement, is getting out of the covers, pulling the covers off our head, and just getting out of the kill box, getting out of this house, this kill box, getting away from these ELF, RF signals, and get out. Just start walking slowly. It doesn't have to be any intent. I don't even recommend intense physical exercise. I recommend very light movements, very easy, very smooth, and you're not even just breathing, keeping your breathing calm, keeping your mouth closed and breathing through your nose, all breaths in and out through the nose, because that keeps your heart rate down. As soon as you open your mouth, it's because you're breathing too fast. Learn how to breathe through your nose. Always breathe through your nose. That is how because I have experience severe crippling anxiety. And, the way that I've been able to manage and fix that issue is initially, and that I still initiate today, is through nose breathing, like focused nose breathing. That keeps your heart rate down, which as soon as your heart rate goes up, you get in reaction mode. You get into that fight or flight. You get into that non-thinking mode. You get in, and you go straight into programs and habits and emotions and feelings. So, keeping that heart rate down by breathing just through your nose and remaining calm and going for a light, brisk walk, right? Move your arms if you feel like you got to do this, right? We'll get to that in a second. So I said, these experiences are stored in the body. So a walk, light stretching, not heavy stretching, guys, light stretching, like this, like not to where it hurts, just, and then, turn, because these things, guys, these things are stored in the deepest parts of us. And by doing these twisting motions, right? By doing these twisting motions, that helps work these things out of our body. Roll your joints, right? Roll your joints. That it works it out of your system. It gets it into your bloodstream. It gets it out of your tissue. It gets it going and moving. And then, what's very important is not to be eating toxic foods. If you are experiencing these emotions like that, I suggest you eat only whole raw foods, not cooked foods. Whole raw foods. What you need to do, and especially juicing is the best, because juicing, is so easy on your digestive system that what it's doing is it's in the ions in juice is negatively charged. So when it goes in your body, it's pulling all those negatively charged ions, those traumatic experiences and emotions are attached to, and it's pulling them, and then you urinate and defecate and it comes out of you. So the juicing really helps move that stuff out. But you don't need, if you're not juicing yet and you're not there yet, the one thing you can do is go straight into raw whole foods. Just eat whole fruits, raw foods, fruits and vegetables. No salt. Get off the goddamn salt. And you're going to detox, guys. You're going to detox. It's going to be rough. Things are not easy. That's what I'm saying. This journey is hard on every fucking level. Physical, emotional, spiritual, psychological. But when you make these breakthroughs and get through and get through these withdrawals and detox symptoms, oh my God, what's waiting for you on this other side is unimaginable until you do it. Light stretching, exercise like abdominal twists, hanging. I got, I hang in my doorway. I just put my fingers up there on the edge of the trim, and I hang from there and let my whole body just go doop, 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 all the way down to my feet. Rotating of the joints, etc., can help move these things physically out of the body. So, it's as simple as that. You don't need anything further than that. Light stretching, lay on the floor and put your lay on the floor and put your knee over and go like this and crack your back and, crack things. And because that's where these things are stored that needs to come out of you. Again, just rolling your joints, staying limber, right? Whole foods, definitely whole foods, and definitely no processed foods. And if you absolutely have to cook, as little salt, as little sugar, as little extra things you got to throw in there. Try to keep it as simple as possible, because your body is dealing with all of this toxins, and if you're putting more toxins in you, you're just stressing your body out more, and what that's going to do is make you extremely tired, it's going to make your emotions way worse. Like at the moment, it's going to comfort you because it's like a blanket, that cooked food and all that, those goodies that you like the hot chocolate with the marshmallows and all of that. It's going to make you feel good at the moment, but man, you give it a half hour or half a day and all of a sudden you're experiencing craziness, and then you don't know where it's coming from because you're not tying it back to your addictions. Whole foods and juicing really help, as the negative charged ions pull those positive charged ions of toxicity out of the body. Intake of processed and cooked foods, while they may feel comfortable in those times, will actually cause more pain, depression, and apathy. And rest as much as your body is telling you to. That's another thing that's important, is resting. You will, like, especially since I started juicing, I mean, some days I need to sleep a lot. And if I'm not sleeping, I need to just lay down and with nothing around me and just relax. Because our bodies are, even subconsciously, once we get real deep in this healing, our bodies subconsciously are dealing with a lot, because it's processing, because we're facing things. We're not living in fantasy land anymore. We're not distracting ourselves constantly with bullshit and with entertainment and all that. So, in that free time that our body has now to heal, and our psychological self has to heal, and our emotional self has to heal, and our spiritual self has to heal, you are going to need rest. Rest. Do not come down on yourself for resting. There is a complete difference between the type of rest I'm talking about and a deep, dark depression. If you feel like you're depressed, go for a walk, roll your joints, eat whole foods, drink juice. Now, and I'm not talking about pasteurized juice from the store. That is terrible for you. Pasteurized juice from the store is not going to do a goddamn thing. That is a toxin. That is our processed chemicals too. Even if it just says straight orange juice, pasteurized orange juice, the pasteurization process heats it up, and it is now nothing but toxic to your body. So that doesn't count as juice. What I'm talking about is fresh squeezed homemade juice, and whole foods. Yes, don't be afraid to rest. And if you can't tell the difference between rest and depression, go for a light brisk walk. Start rolling your joints. See how that works. If you roll your joints and you feel tired, then that means your body's tired, and you just close your eyes and go straight to sleep. Because you can roll your joints in bed. Roll your joints before you get out of bed. Roll your joints as much as you need to. Roll your joints, and do those twists that I'm saying. Those twists really help. Roll your head around. Those things really help, okay? And I will say this, you can get knots. You'll get knots. I used to get knots that I couldn't even move my head, my neck, nothing. And I mean, these knots would be like that big right next to my shoulder blade, or like right up in here. And I mean, they would hurt so bad. And I used to push them against the doorway and like try, because that's what that knot is it's a ball of toxins. Your body magnetically brings it over there into this one spot, so that way it's not flowing throughout your body. It brings all the toxin into one spot, and it makes this big hard ball. And I used to go in a doorway and fucking rub it against the edge of the doorway to work that toxin. It hurts like a son of a bitch, and work that toxin out. But again, if you're doing that, and what it's doing is breaking up that toxic ball, reintroducing it to your body. So you need to be, if whatever you're consuming needs to not be toxic, it needs to be very easy on the body in order for your body to digest it and get it out of it, because you don't want to reintroduce those toxins and then go and sit down and drink hot cocoa, or a soda, or an energy drink or something like that, because that you're going to have some serious issues. You do stuff like that. This is a commitment to your health. This is a confronting and realizing that being comfortable is not your main focus anymore. Being comfortable needs to take a back seat. Being comfortable is what got you in, has kept you in this mess for a long time. And so we got to quit our fence sitting. We have to realize, like, if we're like, well, I don't understand what's going on, and you're immediately in your head, you're like, well, I need to quit drinking alcohol. Well, you need to quit spending 12 hours a day watching TV. Well, we can't just go, and just dismiss that. That is our conscious talking to us saying, hey, you know the answer, you're just avoiding it. This remembering, calling up, and facing of these traumatic and abusive experiences are very taxing to our energy in many different ways. Yeah, they're extremely taxing, calling these things up. Tell yourself, before I go into that. So again, you said that you're calling all these things up and you're sitting there with them and facing. Maybe if you see that you're not able to process them yet, be careful. Don't take a break from calling them up. Call them up one at a time. Deal with each one individually. And like I said, walk and do all these things because, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. There's no way you can just fast speed this thing and push it along. It's going to happen as it happens. It took us 20, 30, 40 years to build up all this trauma. It's going to take more than 20, 30, 40 days to get rid of it all. There are, I do think that there's instantaneous healings. Absolutely, 100%, no doubt in my mind, there's instantaneous healings. But unless if that is something that's going to take place, it's not something that you're going to be pushing to make happen. It's something that's just going to click. So, in that time, don't be trying to, fast forward your healing or thinking that if you just face all your childhood in 1 week and just dedicate 12 hours a day, that you're going to be able to get that done and then move on to the next thing. Understand that this is a process. You're going to have to, take your time, be fluid, go from thing to thing and address everything and just listen to yourself. Learn to listen. Learn to like the silence and the darkness and listen to your intuition. That is really a key. That is the key to unlocking all these things and doing it with the right way without hurting yourself. Tell yourself you love yourself. Yes, so important. Just continue to tell yourself that you love yourself. Really sit down in the quiet and have a full-on conversation with yourself and tell yourself that you care and are worthy of attention, energy, and focus. Tell yourself that you are committed to your health and well-being and that in the past you were not treating yourself right and that now you are dedicated to healing and caring for yourself because you matter. So, that is very important. You have to have that inner conversation with yourself. Okay. You've got to be your own cheerleader. You've got to be your own source of motivation. Okay. And motivation's bullshit and all that, but you've got to be the one that reaches deep down and finds that. And one of the ways that you can do that for yourself is to have that conversation with yourself. Hey, man, I love you. You got this. I know you're having a hard time with these childhood issues. I know this is overwhelming. I know that you were just a little kid and you couldn't help what happened to you. I know that your grandfather was there for you and he died. I know that, you were alone for 2 years with no support system. I know that you had an abusive mother. I know. We got this, though. Look, you made it through. You're doing the hardest thing you can do right now. Richard, you're confronting and you're facing it. You're not running away from it. You're dealing with it. You're putting us first. And this is us. I mean, the adult me and the inner child me is what I speak of when I say us. Richard, you're putting us first. You care about us. You're proving that you care about us. You're putting in the time, the effort, the energy, the focus, the attention. Thank you, Richard. I love you, Richard. I care about you, Richard. You're number one. You are the first priority. We'll get you straight, Richard, and then we can concentrate on all these other things out there. We can concentrate on our spouse, our kids, our loved ones, and all of that. But first, Richard, we're going to get you fixed. So, I'm not leaving you. I know you're in pain right now. I know you're confused. I know you have all these emotions flowing through you that you're not being able to release right now, but just give it time. We're here. I'm here with you. Tell you what, I think we should go for a walk. Let's go for a walk, Richard. Let's roll those joints. Let's get a little bit of movement in, Richard. Let's see how we feel when we do that. If we come back from the walk and we feel like we need to lay down and rest, we'll lay down and rest. But it's all about you. And so those are the kind of conversations you have to have because we've never done that before. Nobody's ever done that for us before. Nobody. Not our parents, not our best friends, not our so-called loved ones. Nobody. This whole process of healing is us becoming the best friend, the loved one, the hero that we deserve. We are the hero that we deserve, and we need to act accordingly. And So hopefully this helps people. I think that was it. Let me see. That in the past you're not treating yourself right. Yeah, and admit, you have to admit, hey, I know in the past I fucked up. I've been avoiding you, talking to your inner child. I know I've been avoiding you. I know I've been avoiding these issues. I know you've been in a lot of pain. I know I haven't done what I'm supposed to do, and I'm so sorry. I'm here, and I'm dedicated, and I'm not quitting until you feel better, until I heal you, until we heal, until we are whole, until we are one. It's me and you in this together, and nobody else. So you have to admit that you weren't there before, that you didn't do that before, and that now you are dedicated, and that this is your one priority in life. I think I will make a video and expound on those things, and of course we'll keep you anonymous. So yeah, that's it, guys. Feel free to leave your questions. That was an incredible. I appreciate this person reaching out, because this video needed to get made. This is an important thing, with all the healing, different aspects of our healing that we've been talking about. We really haven't talked about how to deal with when these emotions come up, how to get them out of you. So yeah, definitely an important aspect. Thank you again. You know who you are, for bringing this topic to the forefront. I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people, and because again, it is an essential conversation to have. Leave your questions below, because I'm sure you might have questions, or your own ways, if you have other secret ways that in your further along in your childhood healing and facing your trauma, that you've moved these things out of your body. I know, some people might have crystals and things of that nature that help magnetically pull these things out of your body. Again, I'm not big in the modalities, but, little things like that. Again, sometimes people need a crutch, sometimes people need a crutch to use for a little while until they're able to walk. And that's fine. Don't beat yourself up about that. If someone mentions a certain type of crystal, and you can go out and buy it for $20, and you got $20, and it really helps you out a lot, there you go. It's that simple. And when you can get rid of that crutch, but don't think that's the savior, and you couldn't, and then you go around, you're feeling better 6 months later, and you're showing everybody, look, and you're selling these crystals for $30 a piece. You know what I mean? That is ego. So that's why I'm so afraid of people getting crutches, is because they just don't want to let go of them. So don't be afraid to use something for a temporary to help you get through these things. But don't be afraid to discard them when they're no longer of benefit or use to you, and you've learned to trust yourself and you've healed. So again, guys, thank you so much. Leave your comments below, and don't forget, take care of yourself, because nobody else will.